you don't know who this investor is, you're missing out. As a disclaimer, none of what we say should be taken as financial advice. This is purely educational.
Hey guys, if you're interested in building a 6 to 7 figure portfolio using the power of stock investing, head over to the comment section or the description to sign up for our free masterclass so that we share with you exactly how we do it.
Okay, MJ. So today we're going to be reviewing the book by Li Lu on Moving the Mountain. Yeah, his life in China. So there's actually a few takeaways when I was actually scrolling through a Twitter thread. So number one, it is that it's a very simple message. It's just to be curious.
Yes.
And yeah, before we actually go into the before we go to the content, I just want to mention that Li Lu is actually quite closely related to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that Charlie Munger actually got one of the investment idea on BYD.
Yeah, from Li Lu.
From Li Lu. And then that's how Charlie Munger convinced Warren Buffett to actually,
so I mean, for those of you who don't know who this guy is and why you should listen to him is that he runs Himalaya Capital.
Yes.
Charlie Munger rarely gives anyone money to invest in, and Li Lu is one of them. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the guy retired before he graduated university.
Yeah. I believe he used his tuition fees
so the student loans he took it and then he started investing in, was it Russia? I can't remember exactly what, but
he turned like those loans to 1 million after he graduated. Which is quite insane.
So he basically retired before he graduated actually. So that's the second reason you should do it. And number three is that when you watch his interviews, you know he's someone who very, very smart.
Yes,
very
exactly. Smart. I mean, he has 3 degrees, right? All in different.
It's a ridiculous.
You can search out more on Li Lu, but he's a very smart, high IQ guy, always very curious about things. So that's why the first message here he say is always be curious. So Li Lu, he is actually a type of person who is very hungry for knowledge. And he sees knowledge as a pretty critical role for his success. And basically his message is just to tell you that no matter what age you are, the learning should not be stopped. You should always keep on learning new things and always be curious on the things around you. So yeah, that's actually a very simple message.
Yeah, so this is one of the hardest things, or rather I would put it this way. If you want to tell an investor who has no track record, let's say, whether he can be a good investor or not, one of the key criteria is exactly this. Someone who is just very, very curious and he has a mentality of why, right? For example, in the hedge fund industry, they have a 220 model. So 2% on management fees, 20% on performance fees. Then, people say, yeah, this is standard practice.
Why?
Yes, but why? Right? They don't take, popularity as an answer. Like, well, everybody does it. Yeah, but why? So they have this mindset of always exploring. And why this is good is because, right, even if, let's say, someone is untrained as an investor, or let's say he doesn't have a good mentor, whatever, but he is really born with this sort of ingredients where he's almost like an investigative journalist.
Yes.
Right? And that's what they are trained for. Of course, unfortunately, an investigative journalist just gets paid from, writing articles. But in this case, right, they get paid by the investments that you make.
Yes. Right, exactly. So that is the number one point, and actually it's a very crucial point already. And here is the second one, which is to embrace failure. So he views failure as an essential part of learning process. I mean, can you really learn a lot if you are winning in life? I mean, there's no mistakes. There's nothing for you to learn.
Yeah.
There's no downside. So I believe if you have always been winning in your life, right? Definitely you are one of the few that you can, even though when let's say you encounter failure, right, you don't know how to cope with it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say that. So yeah, what's your thoughts on this?
So there's a footballer by the name of Gary Neville. He's a Man United legend, and he has what I would say one of the best quotes on failure. And he said that failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. So it's never permanent, although sometimes it can feel like that. But you should always see it as a chance that is an improvement mechanism for you, right? If you are not failing, means that you are not progressing.
Yes.
So I will actually point to two other fund managers that share their thoughts in a different way. The first is Bill Ackman. He said that the people that are very likely to fail in the investment business are the people who have perfect scores for their GPA and then come from Harvard or the Ivy League schools and all that. The reason is because when you go through school, you are graded based on ABC or 4.0, 3.0.
It's very theory. Yeah.
No. So what I mean is that the way your worth is being judged by these exams is based on a 0 to 100. So 95 is worse than 100, 90 is worse than 95, so on and so forth, right? So what happens is that it trains your mind subconsciously to behave that way. And so when you take that attitude into the workplace, then everything in your mind needs to be 100%. Otherwise, it's bad. So what happens is that all these people then go into the space thinking everything is 100%. When they build their financial models, needs to be down to the decimal. They need to learn 100% about everything, and they need to be, absolutely correct and things like that. But the math for investing works out to be, if you are great, it's 6 out of 10, you're right. If you're decent, it's 5 out of 10. And if you're average, maybe you are like 3 or 2 out of 10. But if you tell someone, right, from all these Ivy Leagues, hey, you know what, if you get 60 marks on your paper, it's actually very good already. They'll be like, right. And so what happens when they go into the market and then when they do experience all these failures, because they have no prior experience on dealing with failures, they just crumble because they've just never felt it before. They've always done well in life. So that's the first one, which is Bill Ackman. The second guy is called Carl Bass. And he said in a different way that the worst thing that can ever happen to you at the beginning of your career is to make money from the stock market. Because then suddenly you start feeling in your head that it's easy, that is your own skill.
Yes.
And you don't consider all the external factors that contributed to you making that money that you didn't predict.
Right, exactly. That one is more of your own individual performance instead of having someone else to say that, hey, you did a good job.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Correct.
Yeah, you are your own grader.
Yes. So the only thing I would add to this is that as a practical matter, yes, you cannot see failure as a bad thing. You have to embrace it. But equally important, you need a network of people around you that supports that as well.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be in a scenario where you are with people that always had the mindset of, I told you so. So you come up with an investment and you pitch to the guy and then he said, oh, very bad, very bad. Okay, fine. Maybe he's right, maybe he's not. Or maybe he's right, but not for the right reasons, right? A lot of people can say, well, this thing,
correct.
So and so country is going to fail. But then they say it's because of inflation, but end up it's because of interest rates, let's say. So they were right for the wrong reasons. So you got tons of people like that. And let's say if you disagree with them and then you make an investment based on that disagreement and you lose money, what you want is an environment where people are like, okay, it's okay, man, it happens.
Yeah.
Right. Just don't repeat the mistake. Learn, what do you learn from it? How do you plan to come back?
Yes.
What you don't want is when they have like, oh, I told you so. See, I told you so. See. So you then they are reinforcing the idea that failure is a bad thing. Failure is a tattoo.
Yes.
And so I think this is very, very important. And this is especially important to people in the Asian cultural context because failure is seen as a negative.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of Chinese or even Asian people, when they look at Americans who are rich, who are successful, quote unquote, by societal standards, and then they hear the kind of things that come out of their mouth, it's like, it's like so average, then they're like so stupid and like, what? How did this guy even got rich? The reason is because that he didn't get rich by being smart. He got rich by being not stupid, but
he learned a lot.
Yes, and he didn't see failure as fail. Go back again.
Yeah.
Oh, I was bankrupt before. No problem. I'll just try again. But if you're bankrupt in the Asian context, it's such a huge shame. Huge shame, right? Like
straight away, people go into depression now.
Yeah, like straight away. Or they'll say, yeah, I used to be homeless. Things like that.
Yeah.
You say you're homeless as an Asian, it's wow.
Yeah,
crazy, right?
People also will judge you.
And so there's a bit of a comeback ability, and they just keep going and going and going. And a lot of it comes down to what, I realize. It's a recognition, right, that actually your failures and success, right, is due to a lot of factors you don't control.
Yeah.
So if you think of it that way, right, if you think that most of your success comes from external, non-controllable factors, right, the logical response is to keep trying.
Yes.
Because if I fail, right, I'm like,
yeah, I did what my
call
best.
It God, call it whatever. Did say no, lor.
Yeah.
Try again. But let's say if you believe, right, that your success is by and large due to your own effort, then when you fail, right, what are you gonna do? You're gonna beat yourself up.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh man, and then you're gonna turn the failure from a bruise to a tattoo.
Yeah.
So it's a self-inflicted, it's self-sabotage.
Yeah. Sometimes
mentally.
It's luck also lah. So it's not really 100% things that you can control.
But guys, before we move on, if you're someone looking to level up their stock investing skills and you need a lot more guidance, we do have a one-on-one program called the Mentorship Program. If you're interested, you can apply it in the comment section or the description.
But yeah, so the third point here is, speaking of embracing failure, that's how we get the third point, which is to never give up.
Yes.
I mean, because Lilu himself also, since young, I believe in China, there's like a lot of like, I don't know, like, was it chaos?
Yeah, he was there during the Tiananmen Square. Okay, I don't want to say massacre. So what's very interesting with this event, right, is that if you ask people in the West to name the event, they will call it the Tiananmen Square Massacre. If you ask Chinese people to name the event, they call it the June 4th incident.
Okay.
So you can see the propaganda on both sides. So the reason he has this perseverance is precisely because they went through that student revolution, right, where they wanted to bring democracy at large to China. And of course, at that point in time, I believe President Deng Xiaoping said, no. And so he started standing tanks. And then there's that famous photo, right, of the man, tank man, things like that. So, I mean, when you go through that, right, what's losing money in the stock market? Exactly. I always tell people this, like literally.
This is even brutal because this is you putting your life at stake. This is not even money; it's like your life. So whatever thing, you have to always have a never give up mentality and have that strong determination to overcome this obstacle. Okay, the fourth one, it is have a long time mindset, or actually it's like a long-term mindset. So basically, it's when it comes to investing and life in general, he emphasizes a lot on patience and discipline. Yes. I mean, that's very true. If you want to invest in a company that have a potential of growing multi-bagger, I mean, it wouldn't go up in the short term lah. I mean, that's for sure. You have to see it go through a lot of ups and downs until they reach to the status of that multi-bagger that you want them to achieve. So it takes a lot of time and also your patience to hold that particular company. Yeah,
and so that's where, again, I go back to the idea of having the right environment, because there's only so much self-discipline can help you. I think when you are educated in a way that, everything's on you and it's all your own effort, you will start to think like, it's all about this self-discipline, like I gotta, do ice baths every time. Wake up 4 a.m. Okay, I mean, some people can do it, but imagine how much easier it is going to be when all your friends are doing it and telling you, hey, do you wake up 4 a.m. today?
Right.
Okay, I gotta do it. Right. I recently started Pokemon Go, right? So when I'm with my friends, so I mean, for context, Pokemon Go requires you to like walk a lot.
Yes.
So when my friends, everybody's walking, so I'm going to walk. Right? But then the minute, no one's walking, then I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to walk again. You know what I mean? So there's only so far self-discipline can bring you. Ultimately, it is the environment that will bring you through. I think self-discipline is good when there are instances where you do not have that support system. So, of course, in your entire life, it's not 100% of the time that you have the support system. So the self-discipline helps when those rarer occasions where that support is not there.
Yeah.
But it cannot be the reverse where it's the rule, not the exception.
Yes.
Self-discipline should be used sparingly. It should be used in moments where it's a crisis or some rare event where you have to use it. But you have to use it all the time. You're gonna run out of it.
Yeah,
easily.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I myself also, I'm not a really very disciplined person. But then I try my best to lah. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's all comes down to the small habits that you develop every single day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I believe that if you slowly have that habits, right, you naturally become like a discipline for you to always do something. And that is something that Li Lu also stressed a lot. Okay, so the fifth one, it is to stay true to your values. So this is even if, let's say, you face an events where you have adversity. So I think that is very true, because if you follow the herd, you never know whether the herd will bring you to Holland or bring you to success.
Yeah.
So for example, like, okay, I'll just say the one that everybody knows, which is Revenue Group Berhad.
Yeah.
So Revenue Group Berhad, back then, before they have even this management crisis, right? A lot of analysts were actually pretty positive about their business. But then if you actually study their numbers, right, you notice that analysts is very optimistic, but the numbers are actually kind of like dropping.
Okay.
In terms of like per unit, if you break it down into economics, the unit economics, right? Per machine sold, you notice that something is not right. It's like they don't really have the market share already. The strong market share means either there's a lot of competition coming in, or maybe there is like some replacement that's gonna like disrupt the entire industry. So that is actually a telltale sign for you that, hey, actually, why is this analyst saying so positively, but then the numbers don't seem right? Yeah. So you have to stay true of your own values, and then let's say at that moment, would you like buy the stock? Probably you will not. You will not if you see those numbers. Yeah. So MJ,
So I think this is context very important. I think you should stay true to your values and belief if those values and beliefs are right. Because the flip side of this can be stubbornness.
Yes.
So, okay, this is a very complicated topic, but essentially, sometimes if you have certain moral beliefs that can be bad for people around you, but you insist, right? That's how it is, I don't know, child marriage, whatever. Things like that, right? There are people literally, I mean, if you give this advice to the person who's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't be that like adamant in your beliefs, right? But that's like a more extreme example. That's a more black and white example. But there are certain fields in the world where it's very subjective. So investing is one of those fields where there's so many strategies that work in the past. And it actually pays a lot of dividends. Even if you only have the 7th best strategy, to stick to it, because you understand it and it appeals to you.
Yep.
But what happens in the stock market is that at certain periods, certain strategies work. At other periods, it doesn't work. So maybe at certain periods where cyclical companies work well, other situations where buy and hold works well,
yes,
then growth, value, whatever, right? And of course, the ideal is that you're able to hop between these strategies so you can make money all the time. But that's not really realistic, right? In fact, the best investors don't do it.
Yes.
That way.
Yes, exactly. They only have like they only follow one protocol
one protocol, or that if they want to hop strategy, they actually learn it very, very well. I mean, of course, possibly there are people like that, but
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they stick to those.
Yeah.
So in those scenarios, yes, definitely you need to stick to your own values.
Yeah, I think that is similar to Warren Buffett's investments. His value of investment. So initially he started off with cigar butts.
Yes,
then slowly when he met Charlie Munger, then he started to like change his mindset a little bit to buy great companies at a decent price.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys, enjoying the video so far? If the answer is yes, remember, like, comment, subscribe. And as far as comments go, if you don't like the video, do let us know as well. We always take all sorts of feedback as long as they're constructive.
So, yeah. And the sixth one, it is to take calculated risks. So, it is also known for his investment strategy of taking calculated risks, and he advised to do the same. And he is actually willing to take any risks to pursue his goals. So, yes, actually, if you're doing a lot of investment, that's where valuations come in. That's where you can understand what is your margin of safety. And I think I watched some of Lilu's Columbia when he's sharings in the Columbia University. So he's someone that prefers a company that has a lot of liquid assets, not very light assets also, and also is currently in distress. So those are his like criteria to go to like start to dig more about that particular company. And usually those kind of risks for normal people, it seems like very risky. Like if you see a distressed company, means it's going to go bankrupt, going to go. So for example, like Pharma Niaga going to go PN17, everybody's going to sell. But you never know whether this could be a deal of your lifetime.
Yes.
Because you never know whether, that's why you need to calculate it, whether what's the tendency that you go down, or will somebody start to do something about the company and who knows, maybe turn it around. So yeah, that's calculated risk for you. MJ, any comments?
Yeah, so there's two words, right? Calculated and risk. And some of the best investors, and definitely in Lilu as well, is their very first focus is the balance sheet, is risk. So, the SVB bank video we did a while back, you guys can watch it here. If you just read the balance sheet, the answer was literally in your face. It was literally staring. And I'm not joking. I'm not like you have to like screen your... No, it's there.
Yeah.
It literally is there, right?
You just need to know a little bit about accounting. Yeah, if you don't know accounting, then you will know.
And they always start with that mindset, right? And so when you start with the perspective of risk, so in any company, right, there's reward and risk. So most people like to focus on the reward, but they don't focus on the downside or the risk. What good investors do is they recognize that calculating the reward is quite difficult.
Yes.
Unless it's like an arbitrage situation where, let's say, there's an acquisition or whatever, right?
Yes, right.
Then you can calculate a bit more. But by and large, it's hard to tell the future. You can look at all the data, but you can take an average earnings of the past 10 years and then say 40 million. Next year can be 20 million, right? It's hard to tell the future. But, or therefore, the focus should be on reducing the risk.
Yes.
And a lot of risk can be avoided by just looking at the balance sheet, which is where this guy comes in, Lilu. And so when you eliminate that kind of risk, for example, he likes to look at liquid companies.
Yeah. Cash.
That's really a massive, right? If you are a cash-rich company, by definition, you cannot go bankrupt.
Yes.
By definition, right? And if the company can't go bankrupt, then the next question is, well, what's the valuation? If it's cheap also, then you're like, okay, so bankruptcy risk is gone. Expectation risk is also gone, right? People's expectation.
Right.
So if the company does badly, kind of expected.
Yeah.
But if it does well.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you can apply this situation to the current bank crisis. I mean, right now in the US, there's a lot of regional banks are like down to those 60, 80%. Yes. So, but there are some companies that, who knows, their balance sheet, maybe they have like a lot of cash or something. Or even better, they have like less riskier investment assets that people are just not taking that into consideration because they're scared of bank run. Yeah. So you have to like flip a lot of stones in order to get those kind of deals. So,
yeah, but the key thing is to focus really on the risk.
yes, exactly.
Once you take care of the risk, there's a saying that the upside will take care of itself.
Yes, well put. All right, the last point we have here, it is none other than seek out for mentors. Yes, so
Yeah, very true.
I believe there's a lot of the people that we covered in the past. So for example, like Stanley Druckenmiller and also maybe even Peter Lynch, they always also got highlight about mentors. Even Warren Buffett himself also got highlight about mentors. So he attributes his success a lot on the guidance from his mentors, and he includes it Buffett and Munger being his pioneer in terms of shaping his investment style and whatnot. So yeah, MJ, I believe you got a lot of comments on this.
Yeah, so I always knew that so far my luck hasn't been good, but regardless, it's still a good thing to seek. And the reason you seek mentors is this. So I'll explain to you my thought process when I was just starting out. So one of the things I told myself when I discovered investing is, and this is quite rare for a lot of people, and I actually highly recommend people who want to do investing to do this. Spend the first a year and a half and 2 years just studying investing, make zero investments. Investing is a field that, you know, if you spend 3 years, 4 years for a degree before you get a job, why wouldn't you do the same for a year and a half or 2 for investing, right? I think it's very dangerous to just, you know, read a book and then start straight away.
Yes, exactly.
However, so I did that and I felt quite confident in my abilities, technical wise, building models, things like that. But what is generally lacking is someone who has done it before and you seeing it in action. It's the mentorship is the bridge between theory and practice. Right? People tend to study theory, then they jump into practice, which can work as well, right? Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But mentors are there to smooth that transition from you, okay, this is the theory. Now, see how you apply, look at my past investments, how I apply, what's my thought process.
And also avoid silly mistakes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then they go into, you know, it eases your transition into practice.
Right.
That is very invaluable. And so that's what I knew that I needed to do, and my success hasn't been that great, but that's for another discussion, which is how do you actually pick mentors. So but regardless, it's still a good idea to seek out these mentors and to have a mentality of humility that these guys have done it before and things like that.
Yes.
And you will find that those who have been in the space for a very long time, they can get to the right conclusion a lot faster. Because when you start off investing, you know, you generally have a lot of steps. You do this, that. But because these guys have done it before, they're a lot more efficient.
Yes.
And so then you learn that
it's faster your learning process.
The efficiency from them as well. Now, however, this is equally important as well. Never idolize your mentors. Recognize that the success that they've had, again, going back to my earlier point, that a lot of the success that someone will have is also due to factors not to do with themselves.
Yes.
So you have to be very alert. It's not an easy thing. Like Peter Lynch, for example, he's very good. He grew his money 29% every year, correct? But he invested during a period where the stock market essentially did extremely well. 1977 to 1990, right?
Yeah.
Does this mean that he's a bad investor? No. But it does mean that you cannot worship 100% of everything that he says.
Yes.
And somehow, I just saw this clip on TikTok yesterday. Say when it comes to mentors, right, what they say now and what they did in the past may not be the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you ask a guy who's worth $1 billion, how do you make money? So he'll say, yeah, you need to know the right people. You need to know. But then when he had nothing, he wasn't necessarily building a network, right? He was gaining hard skills. He was learning how to sell. He was, things like that. Right. So sometimes all these successful people that would, on paper, qualify as mentors, right? They tend to not know how to actually structure their advice.
Yes.
And so they just say, yeah, you need to you need to, they'll give advice that their current condition allows them, but they don't sort of transport themselves back into the time where they had much fewer resources.
Yeah.
And say, okay, what would I do in that position?
Exactly.
Giving advice and teaching people is a whole different thing than being successful. You know what I mean?
I mean, because TikTok also for context is very short clip. I mean, if you do like a podcast, right, then they ask you what's your upbringing, then I think that's where you can learn a lot from that.
Yes. But what I'm saying is that even successful people do not realize the conditions and the factors of their success. And so you need to be aware of like how, they can, you need to know what advice you can take.
Yes.
What advice you cannot take.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. I tell you the classic example is this. Warren Buffett always says, if you have 160 IQ, sell 30. So people look at that and then they're like, okay lah, what's the conclusion they make? Anyone can make money.
Yeah.
But if you really look at his statement, he's saying from 160 to 130. Do you know that someone with 130 IQ, that is the average IQ of a PhD student? 160 is genius, Einstein, those people. Yeah. Most people don't have the IQ of a PhD
Usually
student.
It's like 80 or below
100 is the middle, right? So you need to really educate yourself. And this comes with reading, having different mentors. I think that's very important. Different types, be very worldly in that sense where you learn from different fields, different people, different points of views. And as a practical note, I think the best way is to be this. I would say you need 4 mentors, 4 types. Now, the first one are people who are already where you want to be. So these are the, let's call it the super successful, wealthy investors. So we know why you should treat them as mentors, but we also know, as I explained, the limitations. Then the second mentor is someone who's like slightly ahead of you, right? So let's say if you have 300,000 to your name, you want to have a mentor who is worth 2 million, 5 million, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a little bit ahead because he's very likely able to know your struggles because he's quite recent. He doesn't have to dig very far.
Yes.
Warren Buffett has to dig very, very far, 60, 70 years to go back or maybe more to your level. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, people have memory issues, right? So that's the second one. Now, the third one is someone at where you're at. Why that is important is because, it's a good, it's nice to have someone, alongside the journey. And the fourth one is someone who is not where you are behind you. And the reason is because it's a second chance for you to help the guy. Giving back and all that, yes. But also, it's almost like a refresh. It's like teaching and helping someone is solidifying some of the things you learn. So when you have these 4 different people, that's the practical side of, I would say, seeking mentors.
Yep. And speaking about guidance, right?
Yes.
We have FIRL Pro.
An environment.
Yeah. And it's also a network of individual. We have even like well-known fund managers, ex-fund managers inside the group. And we also learn a lot from their sharings on their analysis on a particular company. And that's very insightful. And we are very blessed to have all of these wonderful individuals inside FIRL Pro. And speaking about FIRL Pro, this is the stock performance. And so far, it has been doing pretty well. And at the bottom there, we have a Telegram stock performance, which basically it's more of a short-term catalyst. So if let's say there is something that is beneficial in the near term, we will let our members know immediately. And so far, the performance has been doing pretty well. And we'll be adding a few more stocks in the March run. So stay tuned for that portfolio. And if you're still not convinced and you need more information, we have a free sample for you. So you can access the links to this free sample in the description and comments. And I think that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy the entire sharing session on Lilu's book, Moving the Mountain. Hope you guys learn a lot from his lessons. I definitely learned even more after MJ shared as well. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more. And we will see you in the next video.
See you guys. Bye-bye.